At 4:27 on August 12, 1940, along the cliffs of Dover in southeast England, a pale dawn breaks. Low clouds scud across the sea, and the wind whips spray against the white rock face. The English Channel is a flat, steely gray. On the cliff tops, the tall, black chain-home radar masts stand sentinel, their guy wires humming in the strong gusts. Inside the control hut, a Women's Auxiliary Air Force, WAF, operator strains, pressing her headset tighter, her eyes fixed on a jittering green trace. One bright blip grows larger, followed by several more. She notes the altitude, heading, and estimated speed. The chain-home system, under ideal conditions, could detect large enemy formations at great distances. Some sources claim up to 200 miles, 320 kilometers, from the high coastal stations. She doesn't need to visually confirm the aircraft. She sees them as moving data points. Tally-ho, huge raid coming across channel. She flicks a switch. The information speeds through dedicated landlines to the filter room at Bentley Priory, and then onward to sector control rooms. This is a doubting system in action. Radar combined with ground observers, data filtering, plotting, and fighter direction all integrated into a single, comprehensive air picture. While other nations still rely on blind patrols, Britain has the advantage of early detection, allowing them to launch their fighters at precisely the right moment, conserving vital resources and, ultimately, saving lives. In the filter room, women slide wooden markers across a massive map, placing color-coded raid tokens stamped with the time along the projected tracks. An officer calls down, Sector Kenley, scramble 2 squadrons. Sector Biggin Hill, stand by. The orders are concise, with no wasted words. Everyone understands that every minute counts, potentially representing a burning dockyard or an airfield still standing. At Biggin Hill, ground crews have been working since 3 o'clock, the wet concrete gleaming under the yellow lamps. A Spitfire MKI, a sleek steel bird with its long nose and slender wings, waits. In 1940, its standard armament consists of 8 Browning, 303-inch, 7.7mm machine guns, each loaded with approximately 300 to 350 rounds. However, the total continuous firing time is only about 14 to 15 seconds if the pilot keeps the trigger depressed. The Browning 303 Mark II has a firing rate of around 1,150 rounds per minute per gun. These numbers translate into one crucial reality. Pilots cannot afford to spray and pray. They must deliver short, precise bursts at the correct angle, targeting the enemy's vulnerabilities. Next to it, a Hurricane MKI crouches. Also armed with 8 303 Brownings, it's a sturdy and easily reparable aircraft. In combat, Hurricanes often engage bombers head-on, absorbing more damage than the more delicate Spitfires. A mechanic scratches a small white star on a cowl, not for decoration, but to track sorties and remember who has returned safely. A young pilot named Peter, a fictional character, emerges from the dispersal hut. He zips up his flight jacket, the scent of leather and fuel mingling with the aroma of wet grass. In his inner pocket, he carries a letter from his mother in Yorkshire. Son, no matter how loud the sky gets, remember to eat breakfast. He read it last night. Now, he doesn't read, but touches the envelope like a talisman. The airfield siren wails. Scramble. The squadron leader gestures urgently toward the runway. Peter sprints, his heavy boots pounding the ground. He leaps into the Spitfire, straps himself in, and hits the starter. The Merlin engine roars to life, the prop wash turning the rain into a shimmering halo. 3 aircraft roll out, then 6. They aren't going on a random search. They are heading to a specific point calculated by radar. Across the channel, German formations are also ascending. Bf-109E fighters provide escort. Their fuel tanks heavy, but their time over Britain limited by distance. Many are armed with 2 MG-17-7. 92mm machine guns, and 2 MGFF 20mm cannons in the wings. The MGFF fires at a rate of about 9 rounds per second, 540 RPM, but its drum feed provides only around 7 seconds of continuous fire before running dry. A short burst can tear through bomber fabric, but those 7 seconds can feel like a curse. A missed shot means calculating fuel consumption for the return trip home. Behind the fighters come He-111s and Do-17s. Dense bomber formations layered thick, aiming for London and Fighter Command airfields. The Luftwaffe's goal is to cripple Britain's defenses before launching Operation Sea Lion, the planned invasion, as historical accounts indicate. Britain doesn't wait passively for the bombs to fall. It constructs a sophisticated nervous system. Chain-Home provides long-range detection. The Observer Corps identifies low-flying threats. The Filter Room refines the data. Sectors direct fighters, and squadrons launch on precise schedules. The crucial element isn't simply radar as a magical device, but its integration with personnel and command structures. Peter levels out at 15,000 feet. Cloud layers float above. The horizon opens up, shimmering silver. Then he sees them, dense black dots approaching from the east, glinting like a school of iron fish. The R/T crackles. Bandits, 11 o'clock, Angels 15. He adjusts his gun sight. His heart doesn't race as much as he expected. It beats steadily because he knows he's not alone. The control rooms are watching the same sky he sees. On the ground, 3 7-inch heavy anti-aircraft, AA, guns and 40mm Bofors batteries around London stand ready. They don't fire blindly. They wait for centralized cues as part of the integrated defense network. Over the Thames, barrage balloons hang like dark fruit, their cables humming in the wind. The initial clash is imminent. Germany approaches with overwhelming force and the intention to dominate the skies. Britain prepares by detecting and coordinating its defenses effectively. The fight is just seconds away, but the difference is already apparent. Germany has superior numbers. Britain has superior information, tempo, and conservation of force. Peter touches the envelope in his pocket one last time, then rolls the Spitfire over. The nose drops. 8. 303 Brownings are ready to expend their brief 15 seconds of ammunition. He knows he has very little time to do the right thing. The sky ahead opens like a massive door. He dives in at the exact minute the island has been waiting for. 11:03 on August 18th, 1940, over Kenley, Surrey. The sky is brutally clear, the sun glare reflecting harshly off rooftops and runways. A west wind tears thin clouds into wispy strands. On the ground, Kenley's concrete is so hot that the tar softens, but the fumes of fuel and burning paint overpower any summer fragrance. People will later call this the hardest day, because both sides commit almost every available resource to the air battle. Since dawn, Chain-Home has tracked dense formations gathering across the channel. In the filter room, raid markers clutter the map with red tracks overlapping. Scramble orders are hammered down into 11 group. Squadrons climb, fight, land to refuel, and climb again. The doubting system doesn't lessen the danger in the skies, but it does reduce the number of unproductive minutes the RAF spends flying in empty airspace. Peter, fictional, is at 18,000 feet when the R/T crackles. Raid 20+, Angel 16, heading northwest. He snaps left. The Spitfire surges forward, its Merlin engine whining. Ahead, he sees a He-111 bomber box. Wings stacked like tiles, each aircraft bristling with 7 92mm MG-15 machine guns in the nose and dorsal positions, a typical configuration. Above them, Bf-109s dart like hawks. He doesn't dive directly into the fighter swarm. Fighter command doctrine is straightforward. Spitfires engage fighters. Hurricanes engage bombers. Mixing roles disrupts the tempo. Peter stays high, maneuvers to keep the sun behind him, then dives onto a Bf-109, attacking a Hurricane below. The 109 carries 2 92mm MG-17s and 2 20mm MG-FF cannons. The cannons fire approximately 9 rounds per second, but offer only about 7 seconds of continuous ammunition. Peter knows his mission is to force them to waste those precious seconds. He squeezes the trigger. 8. 303 Brownings scream in unison, over 150 rounds per second from the battery. Yet he holds the trigger for barely a second and a half. Bullets tear into the enemy's right wing. Metal fragments fly off. The Bf-109 flips belly up and plunges into cloud cover. Peter doesn't pursue. He exhales, pulls up, and searches again. Chasing leave you vulnerable to attack by the rest of the pack. Below, Hurricanes of number 32 Squadron attack, the U-111s, breaking up the bomber formations by targeting lead or tail aircraft to create gaps. One Hurricane expends most of its roughly 15 seconds of ammunition in 2 diving passes, then heads back to base to reload. On the ground, armors refill belts in 8 to 10 minutes, refuel the aircraft, and patch holes with fabric and dope. During this campaign, smaller airfields maintain near-continuous repair cycles just to keep aircraft flying, according to various memoir accounts. Kenly sustains hits. Bombs tear into hangars, sending a black column of smoke rising. The 3 7-inch heavy AA guns fire so intensely that the air trembles, their bursts blossoming into black puffs along the German approach routes, based on AA records. But anti-aircraft fire alone cannot save an airfield. Timing is crucial. If fighters intercept the raids early, bombs fall wide. In the sector room, WAF plotters frantically move markers while telephones ring and boots pound. An officer shouts, "They're switching toward Croydon. Send 111 Squadron now." The place feels like a bustling train station where the trains are living men. Radar provides the arrival times. Humans decide which track to open. Britain doesn't maintain perfect tempo every day. In the period following Adlertag on August 13th, the Luftwaffe concentrates on 11 group airfields. Manston, Hawkinge, Biggin Hill, Kenly. Runways are cratered. Fuel dumps ignite. Control towers collapse. Coastal radar sites are also targeted, but most are repaired quickly because the network is dispersed and redundant. Each time an airfield is closed, squadrons relocate to another, adding minutes of flight time, and minutes translate to losses. Late on August 18th, Peter lands at Biggin Hill. He has barely removed his helmet when another distant thud echoes. A mechanic dashes past, his sleeves slick with oil, yelling, "Back up, Pete, new wave!" Peter swallows cold tea, his hands still shaking. He opens his mother's envelope, not reading the letter, but simply looking at the front. "Come home." He folds it and puts it away, then runs to a fresh machine. In this system, every person is a cog in the machine. If one cog stops, the rhythm falters. Across the water, Germany is also under immense strain. Bf 109 escorts must fly from Calais, the Pas-de-Calais or Cherbourg, limiting their effective time over Britain to only about 10 to 20 minutes before fuel forces them to return, as campaign analyses note. When they turn back, the bombers are exposed. Each time bomber formations lose their escort, they become scattered targets. Night falls, bringing the tally the hardest day. The RAF loses about 68 aircraft. The Luftwaffe loses roughly 69 to 71, depending on the accounting method. The totals appear similar, but the implications are not. Germany can absorb aircraft losses more readily than Britain can afford to lose its system, and the system is still functioning. The second crest concludes in controlled chaos. The sky a marketplace of bullets, the ground a radar-directed rail yard. Britain holds its ground not by simply shooting harder than ever, but by shooting on time. It forces the Luftwaffe to expend fuel and minutes over extended routes. It rotates squadrons like shifts in a forge. It keeps airfields operational just long enough for pilots to land, refuel, and return to the skies. As August 18th draws to a close, Biggin Hill burns at the edge of the runway. Kenly smolders. Many pilots do not return. Yet on Bentley Priory's plotting tables, the markers continue to move. That movement represents Britain's heartbeat, and it hasn't stopped. 16:12 on September 7th, 1940, southern London over the Surrey docks. A rare clear afternoon. Sunlight breaks on the Thames like shattered gold. A light sea breeze lifts factory haze upwards. Below, tin roofs and warehouses stretch in gray bands. As the first engines approach, birds erupt from the dock cranes. A dense black stream crosses the sky. Over 300 bombers, with fighter escort, head directly for the capital. This is a day the Luftwaffe shifts its primary focus to London, initiating the Blitz phase, according to campaign timelines. In the preceding weeks, they had relentlessly attacked fighter command. Airfields were battered, pilots exhausted. Now, they switched targets, hoping to break civilian morale, not realizing they have inadvertently provided the airfields with an opportunity to recover. At Bentley Priory, the plotting board glows red. Dowding studies a new track in silence. He immediately grasps the significance. If Germany is preoccupied with London, 11 Group runways gain crucial days for repairs. Chain Home continues its sweeps, providing early warning, and the filter rooms continue to function because the radar stations survive the August attacks. Britain's rhythm is not broken. It is simply forced to run faster. Peter launches for the third time that day. His Spitfire vibrates beneath him like a restless animal. He climbs to 20,000 feet toward the column of smoke rising above London. There are slash-T crackles. Raid large, Angels 18, heading for docks. He sees E-111s and Ju-88s in clustered lines, leaving thin exhaust trails behind them. He knows he can't stop them all. He can only disrupt their formation. 11 Group squadrons climb to their maximum altitude. Pilots are fed into the fighting waves, like substitutions in a match that cannot be lost. They fire short 1 to 2 second bursts, conserving ammunition for another pass. Below, London's anti-aircraft defenses open fire. Heavy 3. 7-inch guns fire in salvos, their bursts forming fragment clouds at 15,000 to 20,000 feet. 40mm Bofors fire more rapidly at low level, around 120 rounds per minute in combat. In the afternoon sun, black puffs hang in front of the bomber tracks like lumps of coal. Bombs begin to fall. Surrey docks erupts in flames. Warehouses lose their roofs. Streets tremble as if the city's carpet is being pulled out from under it. A mother carries her child into a shelter, still clutching a small radio. The announcer's voice falters amidst the detonations. She can't hear the words clearly, but she recognizes a cadence that signifies life. Night deepens. London glows like a furnace, but Fighter Command endures, not because it is untouched, but because it can breathe again. Every day the Luftwaffe focuses on the city is another day that Kenley, Biggin Hill, and Hornchurch craters receive new aircraft and allow pilots a few more hours of sleep. Germany aims to disrupt Britain's defensive rhythm, but inadvertently disrupts its own optimal targeting strategy. 10:32 on September 15th, 1940, high over the Thames near Westminster. The sky is cold blue, the clouds white and high. This day becomes known as Battle of Britain Day. The Luftwaffe launches 2 major waves, believing the RAF is on the verge of collapse. Dowding and Park hold squadrons on the ground until a precise moment, then deploy virtually all of 11 Group. Peter flies in the second wave. He witnesses a Dornier Do-17 disintegrate when hurricanes strike its lead aircraft, shattering the bomber formation. His Spitfire joins a swirling dogfight against Bf-109 escorts. He reduces his speed slightly, forcing the enemy to turn more sharply, burning fuel faster. Bf-109s have only about 10 to 20 minutes of combat time over Britain before escort range and fuel limitations force them to return home. When they peel back, the bombers are exposed. In a tight spiral, Peter tracks a climbing 109 and fires a short burst. 303 rounds don't explode like 20mm shells, but when they sever a coolant line or fuel pipe, they kill just as effectively. The German engine sputters, then dies. The pilot bails out. A white parachute blossoms in the blue sky, like a stray flower. Elsewhere, an RAF pilot crashes in a field in Kent. He crawls out of burning hurricane, his leg slashed by aluminum. A farmer pulls him into a ditch. He shivers with fever. In his pocket is a photo of a girl in Brighton. He presses it into the farmer's hand. If I don't, send it. Such exchanges are interwoven into the fabric of this battle, preventing people from becoming mere markers on a map. By afternoon, German losses are heavier than expected. Common tallies report the Luftwaffe losing around 56 to 60 aircraft that day, while the RAF loses around 26 to 29. Figures vary depending on the accounting. More importantly, Germany loses confidence that Fighter Command is collapsing. Hitler indefinitely postpones Operation Sea Lion. Strategically, the battle is over. The Luftwaffe fails to achieve air superiority. The third crest is clear. The Luftwaffe shifts its attacks to London in an attempt to force a breakthrough. The RAF survives, regains strength, and reasserts its rhythm in the skies on September 15th. Britain stands not on a single miraculous day, but on a system that enables it to wait for the right moment, strike the right target, and avoid waste. Strategic consequences quickly follow. The war map's rhythm changes. Britain remains a base from which the U.S. will later project power, and from which every major Western European campaign will launch. Had Britain fallen in 1940, the European front would have looked entirely different. The doctrinal legacy can be summarized in 2 words: integrated air defense. The doubting system becomes a blueprint for later warning. Control networks, long-range radar, filtered plotting, sector fighter control, and coordinated anti-aircraft fighter response. Radar and ground-controlled interception mature rapidly, then expand into naval and Cold War missile defense. In human terms, the RAF perfects rotation as a living production line, not merely a morale booster. Memory is quieter. Londoners remember red nights and air raid sirens. Pilots remember a sky bright enough to cause pain and 15 seconds of ammunition, worth its weight in gold. Peter, if he survives the war, will remember cold tea on a runway, an oil-stained letter from his mother, and a white parachute descending through blue on September 15th. The moment he understands that Britain has crossed its most perilous threshold. The Battle of Britain ends not with final dogfight, but with Germany losing faith in its ability to achieve victory in the air. An island maintains a steady heartbeat, and that heartbeat shapes the rest of the war.